Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about student resumes because we know that there's students out there competing in a tough job market. They're just graduating, or maybe even they're juniors and wanting to get some experience this summer. And even for those very typical summer jobs that might have been easy for them to get just a year ago, they're going to be struggling to get those jobs. So we're going to talk about some of the resume strategies that you can use to help make them be more marketable. And I'm going to be showing you resume examples because I can make those anonymous, and making a LinkedIn profile anonymous is very hard. And then we'll talk a little bit about how that might transfer over to their LinkedIn profile, because of course I know you all are trying to help them be more active on LinkedIn so that they can get found by recruiters as well. So those are the areas that we're going to be looking at, and I'm going to show you some samples. So first, let's talk a little bit about trends, because this is our Trend Tuesday, hijacked by COVID. And trends, of course, when we look out into the work world, that students who are focused today, but people in general that are dealing with a lot of upheaval. And if you didn't watch our Tuesday live last Tuesday, that was a conversation with our board member, Michelle Carroll, about the racism, Black Lives Matter, and what Career Thought Leaders is doing around that. I'd encourage you to watch that. I'd encourage you to get engaged with us in conversations. I would encourage you as much as possible to have those conversations over the phone or in Zoom meetings. Social media tends to escalate these conversations in a negative way instead of really helping us connect. So if our students are dealing with that on all levels, right? Of course, we've got students of all kinds and races and international that are dealing with the unrest in the US and around the world. And then they're dealing with the isolation caused by COVID, not just the job market impact of that, but I've talked to a lot of people that their students are struggling because they don't have that interaction. They didn't get their graduation. We talked about empathy for those students that are graduating a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was the Friday before last. They all run together, right? So we've been covering some of those topics. Happy to hear what other topics we can cover to be helpful, to be effective. But today, our focus is student resumes. So let's look at some examples. And this is us talking through how do we be as effective as possible for students. So we're going to start with some more kind of simple, maybe more traditional students. I don't think there really is a traditional student anymore, but we're going to look at some of those that may be considered more traditional first, and then get into some more that are, maybe experienced students that went back, or grad students. And what do those examples look like? So we've got students of all types that are looking for this assistance. So let's look at one of these examples here. The first one that we're going to look at, and a couple of these examples are from Cheryl Minnick, and Cheryl Minnick is one of our experts. She did a session with me on graduating students' resumes. We'll probably do another one here soon. Some of these examples that I'm showing you today are from her and from that session that we did a while ago. So this is Susie Cute. Cheryl always comes up with the cutest names. And this is her resume. It's simple. It's uniquely qualified for position as, so that we can have that big, bold student success coordinator without having, seeking a position in. And student success coordinator sounded too bold, right? That person hasn't held that position before. But the little italics above help soften while also staying as bold as we can with that big headline, student success coordinator. Can't use it all the time, but sometimes it works for students to do that. Got a short summary trying to speak specifically to that person's beliefs, so empowering students to reach their full potential. We don't want to use too many platitudes or adjectives there, which sometimes we can tend to do with students because we feel like, oh, I don't have anything else to say. That's okay. You don't have to say anything if that's just going to be generic or sound like you could copy and paste it from one student to another. We want to try as much as possible to include the students' real beliefs, their real desires, their passions, and maybe even a little bit of their experience summary here, which she's got hold 3 years experience working across campus. Great. That's the summary. Then we move into the leadership recognition in higher education, some of those awards. How can we make this student differentiated from other students, especially as this is related to the position that she's targeting? Then you have the professional experience. It's going to be brief when you have someone that was in school, of course, but this does a really good job of calling out those experiences and those accomplishments within that position so that it's a good, healthy amount of content on the resume. It really speaks to, yes, I have experience, even though I'm a student, and that's great. And then you'll notice that this one, that the education is at the bottom. This is a very important decision for our students to make. Do they want to position themselves as a experienced professional? If they have work experience in the area that they're going towards, even if it was just while I'm a student, it may be better for them to position themselves as an experienced professional instead of as a student by putting education on the top. Every student's going to be different. That's the challenge, especially when we're trying to serve a lot of students, is helping them think through those decisions instead of saying, oh, here's a template where education is always right under the summary for them. What makes sense? How are they trying to position themselves? Who are they competing against? And how can we help them connect those dots? I'm going to go on to the next one. And unfortunately, the way my system's set up, I can't see your comments, but I'll come back and look at your comments in just a second. So this is the other one by Cheryl Minnick. And this is a student who's in air quality. She's seeking an internship. Up here, you've got a short summary. Dive right into the education, because for this one, the education is more important to her positioning. It was relevant. They need a degree to be able to do this. And the experiences down below aren't quite as rich as other students' experiences were in terms of their relevancy to the position that she was targeting. You have the list of classes minimized into those 3 sections. And people always ask this, so I'll just say it. That's a table, and the table will be read by an applicant tracking system. You just have to be careful about how you create it, which we went through a few weeks ago, and I'm happy to go through again if people are interested. So a table will be read by an applicant tracking system if you do it correctly. There's a lot of other ways to do this, and even to get the same look, you could use tabs and then put shading behind it and put in the lines. So there's other ways to get this look, but I believe that this one was created with a table. Then you have the academic projects and expanding those to sound like a work experience. What did they do? What did they accomplish, if they can speak to that? And then at the bottom, the community involvement, also directly relevant to the positions that they're targeting. Digging, syllabus, class projects, having them really think about everything that they've done that's relevant, that they did in a class. I know people will tell their students, go and collect your syllabi, if that's the right word, from all of your classes, and have those, go through those, think about the projects that you did, and how can we get some of the project-based content on your resume. Of course, especially important if they don't have some relevant work experience that they did during their program, and maybe they were working in a bookstore. We still might put that on here. You're not seeing that in this example, but we'll show one. They might want to put that on there. We still want to speak to as many relevant experiences as possible. In a technical field like this, kind of engineering, being able to share those technical experiences helps get keywords into the resume and helps show how they've used the skills. Will they compete against an experienced engineer with this resume? Probably not, but might they compete well against peers, maybe even people who've graduated a year ago? Maybe so, because we're really dragging out those experiences, we're communicating them well. Not overstating, but including all of the details that we can. So those are 2 one-page examples that just give us an idea of how you can put together some information, get some great detail there for our clients who are only have, if you will, on-campus experience, that job during their school. I'm going to show you one more example, and this one is a little longer, even though it's the project-based resume, and just give you an example of something else that you can do. So this is a 2-page resume for an engineer. An engineer is, they're they have a lot of school projects, which is great because then we can say, hey, I know these school projects that you had, let's go through them. So this person, we have the summary. Mechanical engineer, that one may have been a little bit, maybe we could have used a little bit of a qualifier there, seeking or aspiring mechanical engineer. And then we go into the projects. And then this resume, I did the problems, actions, and outcomes. You could probably argue that this is too much content, and he and I had a discussion about this. How could he shorten it and make it one page if that was more appropriate? Was a 2-page resume too much for someone at this level? I don't know. The first page is really all of the experience that we need. He could use just the first page, and it really details out those problem, actions, and outcomes. Wrote paper and presented design to faculty. It's not an accomplishment, but it shows that this was something that they knew how to do related to an engineering project. Presentations, papers. And then with the Department of Transportation, there is actually an outcome here. Cut data analysis from 1 to 2 hours to 5 minutes. That's kind of a big deal. And so we can get to some of those outcomes, even if they were within a school-based experience. And this was a summer internship. So internships, practicums, class-based experiences, all good places for us to pull content, pull examples. And then the second page is really just a list, and he could use the resume without this. It does show the additional experience in law offices and county offices to show that, yes, he's had experience. Differentiating from peers that are just graduating who maybe didn't have an opportunity to get experience. So that's a 2-page resume for a new grad, which some people might say, oh, never use 2 pages for a new grad. I mean, it depends. Who will they be competing against? What will the situation be? What makes the best decision for our client? And they can experiment with it. There's nothing that says he can't send this out to a few jobs, see how it goes, see how it's received. And if he feels like it's not working very well, cut down the problem, action, outcomes, and put in some of this other information there on the front page. I think it's sometimes helpful for students to say this is, a project that you're working on, and you're going to create this, you're going to use it, and then they're going to get feedback, and you're going to adjust it. We don't want to stop using it because you're adjusting it, and we can't, wait until it's perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. There's not one right answer, which I know they want one right answer. This is our complex conversation, right? So let's look at one more here that has some school-based examples. So one more example that has actually this one's not school-based examples. This one's all community examples. So this one is not the one I meant to share with you. Let's look at this one though, and then I'll find the other one. So this one is actually a PhD student, MBA, Management and Human Resources student who's looking to improve, but also kind of go back to what they've been doing. So sometimes you have, especially non-traditional students who maybe they were an engineer, even though they didn't have an engineering degree. Now they came back and they got an engineering degree and they want to go back to being an engineer. How do we position them as a new grad or as an experienced engineer? It's going to depend on their situation, depend on what they're aiming for. And do they want to position themselves as a recent grad, or do they want to position themselves as an experienced professional who, yes, now also has the degree? This one was interesting because Susan and I worked together to say, okay, you've got this master's in organizational leadership. You also have management experience, but it's not directly in HR, which is the area that you're aiming for. So we created a resume that really highlighted her experience, as you can see on the second page especially, And it also highlighted the projects in her degree program, which were much more HR focused. Now, we know our clients aren't always as focused as we want them to be. So she and I chatted about how she could move the section. So if she was going to apply for a management job, she could move this section here to the end. And now she's highlighting her professional experience. Obviously, we'd have to move the headline, which I'm not going to do. And we could put her education down here. And now her positioning is much more as an experienced professional, because that's what's leading, who, yes, also happens to have a background in HR. If she was applying specifically for HR roles, maybe a little bit more entry-level HR roles, then she would leave that education at the top. These are the discussions we want to be having with students. And right now you're probably having them virtually. Maybe you can create a video to help them determine what should lead: your education, you're positioning yourselves as a recent graduate. That's, maybe the best situation for a lot of students who don't have in-depth work experience that's related to their job. If you do have experience related to your job, it may be more important to put education at the end and lead with that experience that is related and shows that you can compete at that level. What types of positions are they applying for? What level of positions are they applying for? And how relevant is that experience? Those are some of the factors that I'm thinking about when I'm trying to make the decision about where does that education versus experience go. I know some of you are using templates, so these might be things you're already telling students along with the templates that they have, or the resume creator system that they can use. How do you decide, the template automatically has X, Y, or Z. How do you decide what you move around? How do you decide what you want to put where? One last example. This is the one I thought I was going to be sharing with you a moment ago. This is our graduate student who is somewhat experienced, but went back to school for something completely different. So, I've gone back to school to get a completely different degree, and how do I build a resume around that? So this was a client who had some experience and then went back to school to do counseling work. She's positioning herself as a mental health counselor because she's passed her degree, she's passed her exams, and she can call herself a mental health counselor. And her education is up top because it is new, relevant, required, and she doesn't have direct experience that is outside of her education in this type of role. And she's applying entry-level positions as a counselor, right? But it's not really lengthy, because then we're getting into the counseling experience that she does have, an internship. And you'll see that this says counseling internship. A lot of times I'll see people write a resume that either says student intern or just intern or practicum. Use the word that they're applying for, use the word that really relates to both that internship and their goal, so that it shows that they're relevant. Counseling internship, counseling practicum, instead of just student internship or internship and practicum. It really helps them immediately feel like, yes, this job title is relevant. We've got information there about what she did in that internship, just like we would a job. And the same with the practicum, what she did in that practicum and how she helped her clients there. This one's, it's always interesting to talk to someone who's in work that really can't be quantified in some senses, but you'll see that we've got groups with 30 clients, 12-week group. So it's still getting at value, increased participation, even though we don't have quantifiable achievements. We're still quantifying where we can and speaking to achievements, value where we can. And then we have her additional experience on page 2, because she's not, a new grad. She's not traditional age, and we want to help that be a benefit for her. She's handled some challenging situations in her past life, in her past work, that will make her better at what she does right now. So in her executive assistant role, she managed the receptionist, so she's got some management experience. She diffused tension between companies. So we're always digging for what is relevant in those jobs, even when they seem irrelevant. How can we keep the language as relevant as possible in all of these experiences? And, maintain confidential information of a public figure, drawing the dots, connecting the dots wherever we can. So this is a more experienced professional who's changing careers and went back to school to change those careers. When we're thinking about student resumes, it's really all about where can we dig? Well, this is any resume, right? Where can we dig to find as much relevant information as possible, and try not to judge or label that experience in a way that's unhelpful for our client. So again, intern, practicum, put good, powerful words in front of those. Be careful of volunteer. Just because it's volunteer doesn't mean it's not relevant, but sometimes the word volunteer can tell me in my HR quick reading brain that that's not as relevant. So watching some of those words, and then in the summaries, being careful to not go to that kind of undistinguished, undifferentiated place of using too many adjectives and descriptors. Be as specific as you can, as true to your client as you can be. You can use some assessments like the StrengthsFinder to help them find their own language. I'm not a huge fan of copying and pasting like StrengthsFinder or Disc Language into that, because that's not them, that's the assessment. But you can definitely use those tools to help them come up with what does make them different, so that they can put that into their document. This is recorded. If you have questions about any of this or thoughts on any of the samples, feel free to reach out to me. I will put the link in here for that session that Cheryl and I did a while ago on graduating student resumes, in case that could be helpful. And look forward to seeing you back here next week on this Tuesday Live. This Friday, we have a college career conversation. I'll post the link to RSVP for that into the comments as well. That is an RSVP to get the Zoom link thing. We're not going to be live, but we're going to be discussing micro-credentialing, very interesting topic. And Cheryl Minnick, as well as hopefully another colleague who's been doing a lot of work in the micro-credentialing area, are going to come on to talk about that, as well as any other issues that our college career services providers are facing. We will see you next week.